Good evening, everyone. See, second macroeconomics ki low demand tam gani ko. What is low demand se nasi tam gani economy ke nasi mari shuba lecture hoy din ko. What is low demand? Bada ko na demand ai se kai no na economics kai na define to romba low demand se. Kari no se yeng se ko. Okay. Quantity of a good that consumer are willing and able to purchase at a given price in a given period of time. See here ko. What is this? Demand is koi two components hai things hai lai ko. Bada willingness lam lai and then ability. Ani se lai rakanda koi demand hai do ni ko. For example, akoi na Rolex ki watch ama Rolex ki watch ko. This costs in lakhs ko. We all have the willingness to buy Rolex watch, but do we have the ability? Ability like bro, akoy na Rolex watch lay bagi. Assuming that akoy si yeng ba kaise, we are all middle class family ko. So we don't have the ability to buy. So the willingness to buy Rolex watch, it's not a demand because it doesn't fulfill a component of a demand, which is ability. Ability like tabagi, akoi kano Rolex watch lay bagi kano se demand se lay na high do ni ko. So what is low of demand? Assuming all factors to be constant, akoi na kano da let in term the ko. Ceteris paribus and high ko, which is nothing but assuming all factors to be constant. Atopado na constant lay na kala consider the quantity demand of a good varies inversely with price. See the high second we consider as price falls, quantity demand increases. Price agadi quantity demanded will increase ko. As price goes up, quantity demanded will be decreased ko. Si gyan type ko. See the high si gyan type ko. Price agadi quantity demanded will increase. Okay. And then as price goes up, quantity demanded will be decreased. See later ko. Let's see the demand curve. Akoy gi graph ta yeng si ko. What does this demand curve? Sige line se. Sibo ko na demand curve ko ko. So what does this demand curve denotes ko? Sige yeng asi. For example, price se lupa tara pirame component ag thing amako. Quantity demanded here would be its yam the quantity demanded is high ko. The price when the price is low, the quantity demanded is high. Sige gap sa yengo. This gap. Quantity demanded is high. When price increases, quantity demanded decreases. Let's put a number here. See the 10, see the 20 lay halasi. Ko. Lupa kun pila lupa sida, for example, sida lupa tara halasi, sida lupa chama halasi. Pero siyam top na chale. Lupa tara pi matan the demand siyam wang dro. Sige sa. Lupa chama pi matan the demand sa 100 dro. This representation, this graphical representation denotes the demand curve, which denotes that as price decreases, quantity demanded increases, which would be along the curve. Along the curve, I say kind of C key lines the chat per se. Sibo along the curve ko. Shift or outside the curve, I get smile lak pa inward I can see the lak pa This will not happen. So along the curves, chat kan ko demand curves. There are certain exceptions when the demand curve will shift outward or inward in certain circumstances. We'll get to know this. So second, determinants of demands. What are the determinants of demands? How about the price lane? And then this will happen movement along the curve. A graph ki basic so I'll not explain graph is command represent the way graph. How do we read graph ko? Okay, and then we have income, determinants of demand, the income line, and then price of other products, taste and preference, expectation of future price, size of market, and special circumstances. We'll get to know all this step by step ko. Ahambada price the yengsi ko. Price ta ngasai hojiki ahambai kano the graph tum khangre. Price ki kano sa. As price increases, demand decreases. As price decreases, demand increases. This is the inverse relation of the quantity demanded and the price. Inverse relation this is represented here. Price increases, quantity demanded decreases. Price decreases, quantity demanded increases. Okay, have you got me? Income determinants. What is this? The determinants of price, income. Price yang gray ko na. Income mo yang income yang consider income the kari high. As income increases, the demand for good in normal circumstances increases. Normal circumstances. What is this normal circumstances? Why do we need to say in normal circumstances? For example, nangi income sa. For example, you were earning 10,000 rupees per month, and then there's a sudden increment. So you started earning 20,000 rupees per month. Nangi income sa increase tau gre ko. Income increase tau ko consider. Earlier, when you were earning ngasai gi 10,000 rupees earn tau ni consider price P1 sita lupa chama pi de khalisi matam sita you were demanding two quantity of shoes ko. As your income increases, the price being constant ko, price to the constant of layden khala consider, your quantity demanded increases. Increase the rock. Here you are demanding 6 shoes per year ko. This is the relation of income and demand ko. Income and demand ka relation to explain to buni. Sida hari se kano kan as income increases, people will buy more shoes. Already at P1 earlier, Q1 the quantity demanded to sila rambadagi Q2 the quantity demand increase to ko. This relation is explained by ko income ga demand ga relation do explain to ko. I think you got me. Okay, I gyan tarban khalaman khalle ko. So ngasai sida lai ngasai do normal good ni ko. This is for normal good. This is for normal good ko. Demand for shoes. And then demand for second hand clothes. I see shoes as let's assume it to be shoes. Okay, here as your income increases will increase your demand for you will demand less shoes of second hand shoes nang less matang kitang handa na demand to kanin ko as your income increases. This second hand is considered to be inferior goods na consider to inferior goods is na kaino consider as income increases demand decreases. Okay, aside for normal good na kadaw income increases demand increases. In inferior goods the demand will decrease when your income increases. Yan tapos po here aside sida high kaino kan income increase tau kan price to the constant lay ren khalasi sisina second scenario then first nangi quantity demanded to when you were earning 10,000 rupees the quantity demanded was higher, but when you were earning 20,000 rupees per month your quantity demanded decreases considering that the price was constant. See relation sa yan tayo ko inferior goods tadi kadaw as your income increases quantity demanded decreases ko. Okay, now with rise in income demand for some goods increases. These are known as normal goods ko, whereas demand for some good decreases. These are known as inferior goods. Sida high say income increases demand decreases, income increases demand increases ko. Yare ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯈꯪꯈ꯭ꯔꯦ ꯃꯗꯨꯗꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯒꯤ ꯃꯇꯨꯡꯗ price of other products ꯁꯤ ꯀꯩꯅꯣ ꯀꯥꯟꯁꯤꯗ ꯈꯪꯗ꯭ꯔꯦ ꯀꯥꯟꯁꯤꯗ let's understand this ko substitute goods. What are substitute goods? As the name suggests, mamingsina adum hai ko goods that are replacement of one another. For example, tea and coffee. Cha thakma nanga cha ga coffee ga cha thakpe ai either we consider it ceteris paribus ko other factors being constant ko sida lo consider tawni ko nangi preference aduda yengoi besi consider substitute goods sai se kaino kan tea cha say for example nangna hojik se lupa kun pire coffee se lupa kun pire me ko then suddenly the due to certain economic blockade ama uramba yai ama tobu yai adu kan se cha ge price se suddenly rupees 50 per cup on grazeba coffee still remains at 20 rupees. So what will you do? What is the rational thing you will do? In economics, you will try to drink coffee. That's right. Cha because the tea has increased its price. So you will shift to coffee. So this is substitute good. As price increases of substitute increases, demand for the other good increases. Complementary goods. Goods that are consumed together. For example, bread and butter, badminton rackets, and shuttlecocks. Should I command what is the relation? As price of the complementary good decreases, demand for the complementary good increases. Other complementary good increases. Bread se kaigumba hongdara e kalupa kun piram lupa tara pire khalasi. Tara pikan sida nang bread hena charakani ko. Bread laiba matamda butter changi ko. So you will buy butter. Considering butter to be at the same price. Ko. Badminton racket se hongdara e, you will buy more shuttlecocks. Without shuttlecocks, you can't play badminton. So you will obviously buy more shuttlecocks. This is the relation of complementary goods. As price of the complementary good decreases, demand for the other complementary good increases. Then taste and preference. As product gets promoted by influencer, it may be cool or lame. See, sir. Let's understand with one example. Cristiano Ronaldo na Coke ki bottle ma into ki bagi video mate ma ningsing bro. Are you able to recall it? Have you seen that video? Mana du tau gandu da Coca-Cola gi kaino se share me am handagi ko. The price obviously in market should have decreased ko. Handagi ba handa da brother we don't know. But that example ko. For example, Cristiano Ronaldo sina he influenced the people to drink Coke because it is a healthy way. Adu way namana higher consider what is the nasagi impact ko. There would be favorable change of consumers preference towards an item. Coca-Cola do Ronaldo na promoter consider there will be more demand and vice versa. And vice versa is a kind of if Ronaldo demotes the uses of Coca-Cola, then the demand decreases. So this is the relation called taste and preference. And let's understand this another aspect, expectations of consumer of future price. See sir, let's understand, we can best understand this in our example. Demand for petrol. Ngasi se koi lupa chama pili ko liter da. Ngasi se for example pung manga se is na economic blockade se akoi gi either any organization akoi gi highway deliver any organization or group of certain groups na mana ko moi se economic blockade to ni thawk chat hal roi pusin ba ya roi imphal dai na smain log thu ase ko. What will that ngasai gi indicate? That there will be increase in the price. Demand for petrol will increase ko. Certain black market at the pang the bayai at the price tangklak paya ko. Assuming that the price of the petrol will rise ko. What will happen? What will happen now? There will be outward shift of the demand curve. Demand curve is outward shift tokani. Why? Akoi loima akoi hojik price high yang ni tangklan ni di loima queue da leng re ni ko akoi dum haina bi moi akoi di thau je phangaroi ga di koi queue de ekta lep ge kaino se habit dum cha ꯀꯩꯅꯣꯁꯦ ꯍꯩꯈ꯭ꯔꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯇꯥꯔꯦ ꯑꯗꯨꯝ ꯇꯧꯋꯤꯅ ꯁꯨꯃꯥꯏꯅ ꯇꯧꯔꯀꯥꯟꯁꯤꯗꯩꯁꯤꯗ ꯀꯩꯗꯧꯋꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯀꯥꯟꯁꯤꯗꯩꯁꯤꯗ outward shift of demand curve ꯍꯦꯟꯗꯣꯛꯀꯅꯤ because there will be exponential increase in the demand for petrol ꯒ꯭ꯌꯥꯟ ꯇꯥꯕ꯭ꯔꯣ ꯁꯤꯕꯣ ꯄꯦꯇ꯭ꯔꯣꯜꯒꯤ ꯗꯤꯃꯥꯟꯗ ꯌꯥꯝ ꯍꯦꯟꯒꯠꯂꯛꯇꯅ ꯉꯁꯥꯏꯒꯤ ꯃꯥꯒꯤ ꯀꯔꯞꯁꯦ ꯗꯤꯃꯥꯟ ꯀꯔꯞꯁꯦ outward shift ꯇꯧꯋꯤꯀꯣ till the price rises ꯄꯦꯇ꯭ꯔꯣꯜꯒꯤ ꯄꯩꯁꯥꯗꯣ ꯍꯦꯟꯒꯠꯇ꯭ꯔꯤꯕꯣ ꯍꯦꯛ ꯍꯦꯟꯒꯠꯈꯤꯕꯗꯩꯗꯤ ꯁꯤꯒꯤ ꯀꯔꯞꯁꯤꯗ ꯑꯃꯨꯛ ꯐꯪꯛꯁꯟ ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯇꯣꯏꯅꯤꯀꯣ as long as there is no rise in the price the demand curve will be here price tuna hayeng yawakandadine sigi kainosida amuk hanjilakaniba as demand for kainose price increases demand will increase sigi kainosida ista curve sida function torokaniba ko but in these circumstances ko for example price lupa chama piri ko cham pi kan sida kadoba sigi quantity demand do hengalakro cham pi ka sida oirammi ko akoi normal curve ta lay kan sida outward shift tawdre kan sida price hengalakani heavy assumption ama la kan dadi when the price was still at 100 demand increases hengalakro so this is ngasai expectation of consumer of future price sila ko gyan tari busbo then size of market of number of consumer magi impact si yang ko today akoina assume tawrasi today there are lising tara car lising tara India the lake after 6 months there will be 20,000 car in India let's assume this what happens to the demand for petrol outward shift from lakani consider this see explain to hojiki aina hoji explain to give outward shift of demand curve to madu apply to rogama si yang view I don't think I need to explain this further ko and then special circumstances example change in season weather natural disaster cold drinks ki mat hoji cold drinks ki matam lo sile ko summer the cold drinks am shit pro hoji winter yom nin cold drinks ka sila ro ko so this is the special circumstances season oibe weather oibe natural disaster nong churakan di akoi cold drink thakpa handai ko likewise this is the relation of ngasai quantity demanded with certain changes in weather season or when there is a natural disaster ko okay akoina type of goods ngasai yengra relationship with income and demand income ga demand ga relationship to yang kan normal goods inferior goods ani tholaki ko demand increases income increases ko adai demand decreases with income increases minor relationship with income and demand thok yengra relationship with each other substitute complementary and no relation ko chi yengra and on the basis of slope of demand curve let's understand this okay let's take an example despite large change in the price of goods very small change in the quantity demanded see se karamba kan thoke kan sida necessary goods such as life saving drugs oxygen ama hospital da kano to bose either it may increase the price exponentially or it may decrease the price the demand for that necessary good will not be very huge it will be very small in the quantity demanded it is represented in this graph how the price once the time constant quantity demanded is this much when the price increases decreases the quantity demanded is not very significant it's very small since necessary goods which are known as life-saving drugs for example life-saving drugs and then there are certain goods small change in the price and then there is a suddenly quantity demanded increases in manifold price study change to kitang khak change lagasu there's a sudden increase in the quantity demanded what happens in such karamba goods that okay can luxury goods thoi for example price 1 stays the time consider quantity demanded is this much okay price 2 is the hongdara consider quantity demanded increases exponentially exponentially is too much let's say very large see ki can also am hengalakro for example iPhones iPhone ใช่ฮันดักบิ๊กบิลเลนเดสตัวแบบฟลิปการ์ดกี่อะดูตัวแบบกันสิแต่ iPhone ไล่ไปกี่จังเสียมเห็นกันตัว price ที่ค่าฮันเดอร์กันสิแต่ for example เราคนน่ะ iPhone เสียหลักก็ไม่ปีไปเสีย80,000ปีเรียนนะค่ะเลย big billion days สิ offer the big listing 40,000 80,000 da kano to ren khalasi adu kan si the demand is increase in very large quantity ko this is luxury goods okay silai ko and then goods with exceptional demand curve this is from a good so I know which have exceptional demand curves ani like Babylon goods and given goods what are Babylon goods Babylon goods are luxury items that serve as a status symbol that serve as a status symbol Thorsten Veblen ko bunu pam na magi lari theory of leisure class ko sida piram ba kanoni goods explanation ni hai tai Veblen goods se akoi gi normal ngasai gi demand curve se dei kai noi kan se downward sloping oi ko this is normal demand curve as price increases demand decreases as price decreases demand increases quantity demanding increases ko in Babylon goods when price increases demand is this much when price increases very much demanded quantity demanded increases exponentially exponentially high rates very much very large ko ya tawasibo for example okay Louis Vuitton never can on lay that back up name tang ba adu ade Rolex watch kumba sumba city ne tang kai status symbol oina serve to woni na ne adum laine ba tang kai because this serve as a status symbol nangna Rolex watch am sira ga nang status symbol am uttoi ne ba so that is Babylon goods as price increases demand quantity demanded increases okay sigi ngasagi demand curve si di up kano se downward sloping upward sloping oi ko in normal goods there is downward sloping ko given goods inferior goods whose quantity demanded increases as price increases exception which is an exception to the law of demand ko city akoina real life example kind of laite thoina tininga laite robot given have no pan piramani inferior good say when quantity price increases quantity demanded increases ko silai there okay we'll end the lecture here today hayeng dia mung akoina law of supply tam ni ko and then we will learn to draw graph ko aside the demand curve layer mi ko and then supply curve draw to constantly how we will be learning every economic concept can be expressed in the graphical representation of demand curve and supply curve. We'll get to know this tomorrow. We'll end the lecture here today.